Greetings, parents. We are back here with chapters 19 and 20 of Your Teenager is Not Crazy. Sometimes it feels that way, and that's okay. These chapters here, these two, 19 and 20, are super, I think, applicable to stuff I think we deal with on a daily basis. Jumping into chapter 19 is really about handling and managing stress. Stress is something that is a part of life. And there's good stress and bad stress, and stress helps us keeps us responsible in doing things productive with our lives. And so I think it's in some ways something God has created, but at the same time can be abused, and our bodies are not designed to be going at maximum speed and responsibility and stress for extended periods of time. And the chapter really talks about the brain research behind that. And I think sometimes as parents, we place the expectations that are placed upon us onto our children, and unfortunately our 12, 14, 16-year-old child is not at a developmental stage that's going to be able to handle that. The questions that I would have you think about as you read through this chapter is how many activities is your child currently involved with, or children? How many activities are you involved with besides maybe work and your home stuff? From there, I'd ask your child, car ride home today, what level, 1 to 10, would they say their stress is at? Is it a 4? Is it an 8? I would say this too. This is the scary part, I think, as a parent. How do you typically handle stress? One, if you don't know the answer to that, you need to spend some time. And whether that's personally, with your spouse, having a friend, maybe even seeing a counselor, working through, like, how do I handle my stress? Because I think what's scary is how you handle stress is probably a lead indicator on how your child is going to handle stress, because they're going to only get that from the learned behavior that you exhibit, okay? Not a guarantee, they may handle it differently, but as we as adults handle stress productively, I think is how our children then can handle it productively. So I'd really say this is an ongoing dialogue, maybe monthly, maybe weekly, maybe quarterly, that you really are touching base with your child. How are they feeling with the stress in their life? Again, who's the other person, maybe the other adult leader in their life that's really helping them, the place that they can talk to. Maybe your child's at a stage where you and them aren't like this, and they're not telling you everything. So who are they going to share and talk about life with? And I think having that normal check-in on that. I encourage too, again, maybe this is the stage in your life with your child that they need to be seeing a counselor or talking to somebody. The book really gets at that, like, the teenage brain, when stress goes bad and stress goes too extreme with schoolwork, and the book points this out too, it's not always external, it's internal what they're perceiving. And so you may go, gosh, my kid only plays indoor soccer and plays the piano, and the soccer's not even all year. Like, why do they seem so stressed out? It's because it's what they're internalizing. And then you might, on the other flip, have a kid that's involved in 20 things and is totally fine. Everybody handles it differently and how they're perceiving it. And so it might be a great time for them to go see a counselor and talk through things, because unfortunately the scary side of it is drugs, alcohol, poor choices, maybe cutting, other things. Your child, and as an adult, you will handle stress in a certain way. It's called a coping mechanism. We all cope with stress differently. Some of us, it's just chilling out watching TV. Others of it's taking a nap. And so, and other times it's other maybe less productive behaviors. And so some things that you want to dialogue with your child. And when in doubt, just check in and say, how's it going? And I think youth are good at just saying, hey, I'm at a 6 right now. I feel like I'm at an 8. I feel I'm at a 2. And it's something that you can talk about. Chapter 20, my favorite chapter. No, I love sleep. I love sleeping. I could be a professional napper. I'm just good at it. But how many hours, let's just start here. How many hours of sleep do you usually get? How many hours of sleep does your child get? The Bible's clear. God the Father in creation, at the beginning of time, created the earth for 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested. Then fast forward to the New Testament. We know Jesus took time to rest and get away. Here at our church right now, interestingly enough, our senior pastor is going to be taking a sabbatical, a 3-month break from ministry. A lot of you are probably saying as adults, I'd love a 3-month break from work, okay? But we have vacations. We have these times aside to rest and take breaks. And with stress management, in the last chapter, leads into how much sleep are we getting? Years ago, the 2010 National Youth Gathering, they used to have a morning mass event. And then after 2010, or I think in 2010, they went away with it and did a Bible study. And the Bible study started a little later. But what would happen is at youth gathering, the students would go to bed midnight, 1, 2 a.m., and the mass event would begin at 10. The doors would open at 9, but you'd want to be in line by 8. And if you wanted breakfast at your hotel, you had to get down there by 7, if not before. And if you were in a female room and you're all taking showers and doing hair in the morning, you had to get up at 5. So students were sleeping 4 to 6 hours a night. And I think in 2010, they switched to this Bible study format in the morning instead of the big mass event. And it was a little bit more laid back. They divided the groups into different tracks and different times. And so it wasn't all 25,000 meeting at the same place in the same time. And what was interesting is I talked to some of the adult leaders that had gone before, and they go, gosh, maybe it's this group of kids. But they go, I'm more inclined to think that our kids are getting a little bit more sleep. Our kids are able to sleep till 7. Maybe 8 o'clock, and they didn't have to be somewhere till 10 o'clock. And so they'd get up at 8, they'd do breakfast. That extra just hour, half hour, whatever, I think makes a big impact. So something you may want to try just this week. Can you get your child 15 more minutes of sleep a night? 20, 30. The book talks about it. Some nights it's going to be a challenge, and kids' brains are kind of best to sleep between about 11 and 8 is what it talks about. So of course your child, like on Friday night, wants to stay up with their friends and have a good time. I'm kind of annoyed as a parent with younger children in grade school. They have sleepovers now with a 3rd and 5th grader, and they stay up all night basically. And they barely sleep, and I'm like, I guess maybe I wasn't popular enough to do a lot of sleepovers. I don't know what the deal was. I don't remember staying up all night. I mean, we'd maybe go to bed by midnight, but we weren't up at 5:30 in the morning. And so my kids will spend the night and they'll go to bed at like 1 a.m. and get up at like 5:36. Well, I couldn't sleep, and everybody else was talking, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then my kid comes back and is completely wiped. And so I know being the sleep police is not exactly fun and glamorous, but I think it's something that is ingrained biblically, and our children need to get sleep. And sometimes we need to say, hey, we're going to have this conversation later, but right now you need to get to bed. And I think it's easier, and the book talks about this, is the margin. Stress and time and with sleeping is there margin in your life? And the reality is if you've only got 20 minutes to get somewhere, but you've only got 18 minutes, there's no margin. Where if, we have 30 minutes to get somewhere, but it only takes us 18 minutes, then we've got 12 extra minutes, and we've got some buffer and margin. And so blessings to you as you guys kind of navigate this with your child. Help them develop sleep, better habits for stress and sleeping, but then also that you model those as well as a parent and talk that through in dialogue. As always, I really encourage you to have your child in conversation with another adult, at least one or two, that they're able to have a venue to talk about these issues and other things going on in their life. Blessings on your week, and we're getting towards the end of the book. So keep checking things out, keep dialoguing, and if you're able to read along, I think you'll just really gain from the experience. And so have a great week. We'll see you next time.